And there is no opportunity for FBI facial recognition when the armed subject has a full-face ski mask on. So tonight, federal law enforcement officials are asking the public for help answering the question, who is this? Although he's officially being called a subject, considering the attire, the waistband pistol, and efforts to conceal the doorbell cam, authorities' working theory is he's the suspect.
A mysterious disappearance leaving no trace is always the most horrifying nightmare for any family, especially when the victim is a relative of a famous public figure. Welcome to today's bulletin, where we will dissect one of the cases that has sent shockwaves and dominated headlines recently: the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. After 2 long months without a word, the case seems to have hit a stalemate and become a cold case, leaving behind countless unanswered questions. We will look back at the entire situation and analyze every minute detail to better understand the hidden aspects of this case. The concept of a cold case always carries an invisible psychological weight that presses down on those left behind. As the initial search efforts gradually cool down, a terrifying silence begins to take hold, replacing fragile hopes. Over the past 2 months, the media has continuously questioned the victim's whereabouts, but every lead seems to have reached a dead end. The fact that a person can vanish without a trace in today's rapidly advancing digital age is incredibly baffling, and this only serves to heighten the mystery and the complex nature of the entire situation. Just as despair seemed to have reached its peak, a faint glimmer of light flickered, but it was accompanied by dark and sinister intentions. Recently, an anonymous figure has repeatedly sent emails to the program where the victim's daughter works, claiming to possess information regarding the location of the body as well as the identity of the kidnapper. This statement immediately sent shockwaves through the public and placed the investigative agency in an extremely difficult dilemma. Is this the truth, or just a cruel hoax aimed at profiting from someone else's ultimate agony? Faced with such vital information, the public cannot help but feel anxious and pose countless theories. In your opinion, would someone who truly holds such a dark, monumental secret easily reveal themselves through just a few emails? If you find this topic intriguing and want to follow more in-depth analyses, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel right now so you don't miss any important information. Your support is a huge motivation that helps us continue to deliver the highest quality and most objective news reports. Delving into the details of the extortion, we see the emergence of a highly characteristic element of modern-day crime: cryptocurrency. This anonymous individual has demanded a ransom of half a Bitcoin in exchange for information that he claims is priceless. Cryptocurrency transactions have long been a powerful tool for criminals due to their anonymity and incredibly sophisticated ability to erase tracks. This request not only indicates that the extortionist is highly tech-savvy, but also proves that he has meticulously prepared a plan to safely disperse the assets. However, there is a glaring paradox in this threat: the actual value of the ransom being demanded. Half a Bitcoin at the current time is equivalent to a significant sum, but when weighed against a human life or information regarding a major case, the figure of $20,000 to $25,000 seems surprisingly modest. This runs completely contrary to the typical psychology of professional kidnappers and extortionists, who usually demand astronomical sums of money. This inconsistency has raised many doubts regarding the authenticity of the information source. The suspicion is further reinforced when we carefully analyze the content and the manner in which the extortionist communicates with the family. Initially, he constantly applied time pressure, sending messages that time was of the essence and there was no room for delay. Creating a sense of false urgency is a classic psychological manipulation tactic commonly seen in scams designed to force victims into acting hastily without careful consideration. This anonymous individual seems to want to exploit the family's extreme panic to quickly achieve his financial goals. Yet only a short time later, the extortionist's attitude shifted so drastically that it became baffling. He suddenly declared that time was no longer a critical factor, a complete reversal that flatly contradicted his own previous urgent threats. If this truly is just a scam aimed at asset misappropriation easing, the time pressure is a fatal misstep as it diminishes the perceived value of the threat. It is this very strange contradiction that leads some analysts to believe he might actually know something, and that the actual situation has changed unexpectedly. Given these complex and high-risk developments, all information regarding the extortionist has been handed over to professional authorities for verification and clarification. The involvement of a high-level investigative agency demonstrates that the severity of the case has far exceeded that of a mere malicious prank. However, up to the present moment, it appears that the investigators are maintaining a cautious stance and are discouraging the victim's family from meeting the ransom demands. Distinguishing the boundary between a genuine clue and a sophisticated trap, requires incredibly sharp professional expertise. It is understandable why law enforcement agencies are being so reserved in such an extremely sensitive case. Any transfer of funds to unidentified anonymous individuals could lead to legal complications due to the serious nature of such law violations. Additionally, the extortionist's repeated claims of being abroad and having no direct involvement in the incident further escalate the complexity of a case with cross-border elements. The investigating authorities are likely gathering enough evidence to prove that this is merely a scheme for illicit enrichment rather than a legitimate lead for solving the case. From both a legal and ethical perspective, this situation presents a truly formidable dilemma for everyone involved. Should we compromise with a potential criminal and accept the risk of losing a large sum of money just in exchange for a glimmer of hope? The decision lies at the intersection of strictly adhering to legal principles and doing whatever it takes to find a loved one who has vanished without a trace. This is undoubtedly an agonizing internal struggle that no one would ever want to face in their lifetime. Leaving behind the unsolved mysteries surrounding the extortionist, let us turn our attention to another deeply moving aspect of this case, the journey of overcoming grief by those left behind. Recently, Nancy's daughter, a familiar face on television, has officially returned to work after a long hiatus to deal with her family's crisis. Disappearance immediately drew intense public and media attention as everyone was curious about her mental state following such a devastating shock. On her first day back, a deeply moving and highly symbolic image appeared radiantly on television. Many people use the color yellow as a powerful message of welcome and a hope that never fades. In Western culture, the yellow ribbon has long been a sacred symbol associated with the yearning for the return of missing persons. Yellow represents not only the radiant morning sunlight, but also serves as a symbol of new beginnings, bringing a sense of warmth and peace amidst the many storms of life. Having a celebrity face a personal tragedy under the intense scrutiny of millions of eyes is an incredibly cruel and high-pressure experience. They not only have to steel themselves against the agony of an overwhelming loss, but also must maintain a strong professional image in the public eye. The image of the daughter tightly clutching her colleague's hand during her first moments on air clearly revealed the vulnerability and deep-seated trauma that still remain. It shows that behind the radiant facade typically seen on screen is a soul enduring many storms in need of solace and empathy. Yet public opinion is always a double-edged sword carrying multifaceted views that can sometimes be incredibly harsh toward those involved. As soon as she returned to work, a wave of controversy erupted across social media platforms fueled by heartless criticism. Quite a few people have cast judgment arguing that she returned to work far too early while her mother's whereabouts remain a giant question mark. These comments have unintentionally twisted the knife in the still healing wounds of those who are simply trying to persevere through adversity. This forces us to pause and reflect more deeply on how the online community behaves toward the pain of others. In your opinion, is there any standard measure to judge whether a person's grieving period is enough? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and share this video to spread more diverse and compassionate perspectives in life. Your support is a precious source of encouragement for us to continue digging deep into the unexpected angles of these shocking stories. In reality, psychologists always emphasize that the process of facing and overcoming the pain of loss is a deeply personal experience, and there is no universal formula that applies to everyone. Returning to the daily grind is sometimes not a sign of forgetfulness or indifference, but rather a vital psychological defense mechanism for the victim's loved ones. It helps those involved create a safe boundary, keeping the mind from being completely overwhelmed by despair and helping them maintain a connection with reality. For those working in high-pressure media environments, work can sometimes act as a sturdy lifeline. The hustle and bustle combined with interaction with colleagues and the audience can generate positive energy, helping them temporarily set aside their sorrows and rediscover their inner balance. The fact that the daughter chose to stand before the camera smiling and continuing her mission to deliver the news is a clear testament to her remarkable resilience and courage in the face of adversity. Public judgment regarding someone's timeline for healing is an act lacking in empathy and runs contrary to fundamental human moral values. No one has the right to impose their personal standards on the lives of others, especially when they are going through the darkest moments of their lives. Those who relentlessly hurl harsh words on social media should perhaps take the time to reflect on themselves and learn to respect the personal decisions of others, rather than turning themselves into ruthless online judges. This return is not merely about resuming a job. It also carries a powerful message of life and an unquenchable spark of hope. Even though the shadow of uncertainty still hangs over the case, her radiant appearance in sun-colored attire has lit a warm flame in the hearts of those following the story. It is a powerful affirmation that no matter how harsh the storm, humans will always find a way to rise up strong and continue walking their own path. Returning to the developments of the investigation, public attention remains focused on decoding the mysterious ransom messages and searching for further clues that could lead to Mrs. Nancy's whereabouts. Even though the case has stalled and been classified as a cold case, authorities are undoubtedly still working behind the scenes, leaving no stone unturned and investigating every possible lead. Modern technology is a double-edged sword. While it provides criminals with tools to stay hidden, it also equips investigators with the most sophisticated tracking and tracing techniques. Media in cases like these plays an incredibly sensitive and complex role, which we need to examine thoroughly. On one hand, continuous reporting helps maintain public attention, creating social pressure that compels authorities to investigate more urgently while also calling for assistance from those who might hold key information. On the other hand, if not carefully controlled, excessive media interference can inadvertently leak crucial clues and alert the perpetrators. Therefore, maintaining an absolute balance between the public's right to information and the victim's family's right to privacy is a sacred principle of professional ethics. Our analytical content is always committed to providing deep, objective, and neutral perspectives, fully adhering to these ethical rules to offer the audience a multidimensional picture without causing harm to anyone. We await and hope for miracles that may happen in the near future. When delving deeper into the psychology of cybercrime, it becomes increasingly clear that the interval between the moment a blackmailer issues an urgent threat and the point at which they abruptly withdraw their ultimatum is far from random. It is in fact a highly significant window, one that may reveal underlying motives, calculated intent, and the psychological framework guiding the perpetrator's actions. This narrow gap can serve as a diagnostic clue, offering investigators subtle insights into whether they are dealing with impulsive behavior or a carefully orchestrated strategy. Such a sudden reversal does not eliminate the possibility that the perpetrator is deliberately staging a psychological experiment, one designed to gauge the reactions of both the victim's family and the authorities. In the realm of cyber-enabled extortion, it is not uncommon for offenders to employ tactics akin to baiting, where pressure is applied and then temporarily relieved to observe how the target responds. This ebb and flow of threat can be used to identify weaknesses, provoke emotional responses, or even flush out investigative movements. In this sense, every action or inaction becomes data for the offender. At the same time, it would be overly simplistic to assume that all visible developments tell the full story. There remains a strong possibility that government agencies specializing in advanced cybersecurity and digital forensics have already initiated discrete countermeasures behind closed doors. The lack of public communication should not be interpreted as passivity. On the contrary, in high-stakes cases involving potential cybercriminal networks, silence is often a deliberate and necessary tactic, one that preserves operational integrity and prevents suspects from adapting their behavior prematurely. Behind the scenes, teams of highly trained experts may be working across multiple fronts. These efforts could include tracing the movement of the demanded cryptocurrency through layers of anonymized transactions, analyzing communication metadata, reconstructing digital fingerprints, and correlating global network activity to identify a precise geographic origin. Each of these processes is painstaking, time-sensitive, and highly confidential. A single premature disclosure could compromise weeks or even months of investigative progress. While these invisible battles unfold, the victim's family stands at the emotional epicenter of the crisis. Surrounded by a relentless stream of information, some credible, much of it contradictory or misleading, they are forced to navigate uncertainty on a daily basis. Yet despite this immense psychological burden, they continue to demonstrate a remarkable level of resilience. To maintain a sense of normalcy, to keep functioning, and to hold on to hope in the absence of answers is a quiet form of courage that often goes unrecognized. Their appearances on morning news broadcasts each day reflect more than composure. They reveal endurance. The steadiness in their voices, the restraint in their expressions, and even the faint, strained smiles they offer are not signs of detachment, but rather of determination. These are the expressions of individuals who refuse to let despair define them, who choose again and again to stand firm in the face of fear and uncertainty. The pursuit of truth and justice in such a case is rarely linear. It is a path marked by false leads, shifting theories, and moments of both progress and setback. For investigators, it is a complex and evolving puzzle that demands patience, precision, and adaptability. For the public, it becomes a narrative that challenges assumptions and invites empathy. And for the family, it is an ongoing journey through emotional terrain that few can truly comprehend. Ultimately, what is unfolding transcends the boundaries of a conventional investigation. It becomes a reflection on human resilience, on the psychological interplay between predator and prey in the digital age, and on the profound impact of uncertainty. It forces us to confront difficult questions about trust, vulnerability, and the limits of control in an increasingly interconnected world. The disappearance of Nancy Guthrie remains in many ways an unfinished story, an open book whose chapters are still being written in real time. Each unanswered question leaves space for speculation, but also for hope. Somewhere within the unwritten pages lies the truth waiting to emerge, whether through persistence, technology, or an unforeseen breakthrough. Until then, the case endures as both a mystery and a testament to the enduring strength of those who refuse to give up in the face of the unknown. From the complex maneuvers of the anonymous blackmailer and the calculated caution of law enforcement to the psychological battle endured by those left behind, it has all woven together into a story that is as haunting as it is profoundly meaningful. In the next part, we will continue to delve deeper into the legal aspects as well as the subsequent efforts in the journey to find the truth. The disappearance case and the ransom emails demanding Bitcoin remain an unsolved mystery. Do you think this is a real lead or a cruel hoax? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.